step to the west, I'll follow behind you.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Lockdown Tuesday. This is Sky all the way over here in Malaysia. I hope you guys are having an awesome week. So, what is on the menu for today? For me, it is an iced latte. I'm not sure why, but I'm a little bit tired today. But with the, I've already drank like 3/4 of it. And I'm done. Oh, all right. I'm not sure what drink you guys are having. Just what drinks are you guys having? I know that a couple people have been drinking some bubble tea and stuff like that too. All right, so let's take a look at, we're going to do some shout outs. Some people came early on YouTube and Facebook. We have Yanlan, Lo Cheng Jin, we have Lillian Germany, Crystal and Sue Wen. They all came early. We appreciate you guys coming early and just chatting in the rooms. So a shout out to you guys. We're going to do this every single time too. All right, so today, what are we going to learn about? Actually, the caffeine's kicking in, so I'm starting to get like really hyper. But, right? So, we're going to learn about a crazy story today. It's only crazy because in my mind, the caffeine's coming crazy. Okay? So, the story is of Cain and Abel, and the title of today's story is, Who is Better? Okay. So, grab your drinks, get yourself relaxed, and we're going to have an amazing and wonderful talk today on the Lockdown Tuesday. So, let's get into this really famous story. And we'll call them the first family of the Bible. Now, everyone, we know how it ends, right? So it's not a very good ending. We know how it ends, but let's go into the story for those of you that don't know. So this story of Cain and Abel happens right after the fall. Now, their parents was Adam and Eve, and they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and it kind of ends the time of being in paradise, but there's this new beginning. Right, this new beginning, living outside of paradise, and of course it begins in a very symbolic way, the birth of a child, okay? So 2 children are born, the eldest being Cain, and the youngest being Abel. Now, these 2 sons had 2 different types of vocations. Cain, the firstborn, was someone who worked the land. So he's like a farmer, right? Grains and crops and plants and these types of things. And Abel, on the other hand, he didn't work the land, but he was someone that he's like worked at a zoo, but not really a zoo. He's a shepherd, so it's not really a zoo. But, let's just say that it's kind of like a zoo, right? It's like, little cute things all the time, but either way, right? So, excuse me for the caffeine. So what happens is he's working at not a zoo, sorry. He's a shepherd. Sorry, I'm getting crazy here. So he's a shepherd, and he takes care of animals. So this is where it becomes really, really important in the story. And what's important is, it is a time to sacrifice to God. Both of them sacrifice from their professions. So Cain is someone that takes the crops from the harvest. And then it says that Abel was the one that took the fat portions of his animals, like the most prized thing, and they took it before God. Now, this is where it gets kind of crazy, because what happens is God only accepts Abel's offering and rejects Cain's. Okay? So if you can imagine what Cain is going through, it's kind of embarrassing, because you know what? There's only 2 of them. If there's like 10,000 of them, then it's kind of understandable if you miss one person, but there's only 2 of them. So he's like, and Abel's is taken, and then, Cain is like, and the sacrifice is still there. And God doesn't take it. So Cain gets upset. He's like, what the heck is going on? So now he's like, why do you accept Abel's and not mine? So he says, hey, Abel. And he's like, yes, older brother. You want to go hang out in the bushes? And he's like, okay, because you're my older brother, I'll hang out with you. And then he's like, all right, let's go into the bushes. And he goes into the bushes, says, hey, look, an ant. And Abel's like, oh, look, an ant. And he goes, "Rah!" and hits him over the head with a rock, and he dies. So Cain kills Abel now. And then after he kills Abel, he buries him so that no one can find him. And then God talks to Cain and says, hey, bro, what's going on? And Cain's like, I'm not feeling good. He's like, what's wrong? He's like, it's just, you didn't accept my sacrifice. And I'm very upset. And God says, dude, if you do what's right, I'll accept it. And then he says, hey, where's your brother? And of course, the famous line in Genesis chapter 4 is a very famous line, am I my brother's keeper? Am I the one that takes care of my brother? And then, of course, God knew what was happening, and then he kind of cast Cain out. And Cain becomes a wanderer. So this is a basic story. It's super short. That's why I can go into more detail. It's very, very short. It's all within one chapter, all in Genesis chapter 4. So this is a really interesting story to learn from. And we have to kind of think to ourselves, it's kind of interesting, like, wait, how does this apply to my life? You know what I mean? Like, how can this apply to my life? How can it be relevant in my life? And one thing you want to kind of open it up to is, this is a story between siblings of people who are supposed to love each other. And there's a big struggle between these two people who are supposed to love each other. So if you kind of look at it in a very, very basic way, it's kind of like, yeah, we all have these people that we love. Whether it's friends or family, brothers or sisters. And if you even think about, like, in Malaysia, we're all like brothers and sisters who live in Malaysia, or in the world, we're brothers and sisters. So it's kind of about the relationships that we have with other people and why they go bad or why they go right, okay? And one thing I'm going to tell you right now is, a lot of people, you know, they ask the question is, why didn't God accept Cain's sacrifice? And they're very focused on, well, it wasn't like the right sacrifice because he only gave vegetables, and God hates vegetables just like little kids. And that's not true, right? It's like a lot of people just are focused on, oh, it had to be like an animal, it couldn't be vegetables. But if you look all throughout the scriptures have multiple and different types of sacrifices all the time. Right? And here, it's kind of like that struggle of, why is Abel better than me? And we look at that a lot when we go through life, and there's a lot of things that we go through, and we do have that struggle with, you know, kind of looking at others. It's very unfair, the struggle of this unfair life with unfair things happening, and like, oh God, why is life so unfair? I should have got the job, but why did they get it? Why did I lose? Why did they win? And there's a lot of this kind of, you know, in our minds, it's all about who is better than the other. And the question that people will say is, why not Cain? Okay? So I'm going to talk about two things, right? Two things from this story that we can really learn from, and then two different outcomes that happen if we don't do it the right way. So let's look at the first one. And the first thing I want to tell you is, it has nothing to do with the sacrifice. So many people are always about, oh, well, it wasn't an animal. We're not going to even go into that. We're not going to say, oh, it wasn't the sacrifice. Okay, because I'm going to show you one verse. The first verse I'm going to show you is going to show you that God is not really concerned so much about the sacrifice. And that's in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. It says what? Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice. So the one thing you see here, this is still Old Testament, is God finds something else better than the sacrifice itself. And the thing you have to understand here is, people are so focused on what the sacrifice was, but you got to understand God is looking at something much bigger than the sacrifice. And the interesting thing it says here is, obedience to obey is better than a sacrifice. But what does that mean, to obey? Right? Does that mean to be a robot and obey what God wants? No, it's not talking about that. I'm going to show you one more verse to kind of give you an idea, to God, what does obedience mean? And that's in John chapter 14, verse 15. And it says what? If you love me, keep my commands. Do what I say. That means obedience. Do what I say. And to God, that is love. And if you think about this very carefully, that's actually what love is. Because if you love someone, like for instance, if I had a crush on a girl, like if I really, really love my wife or really love this person, whatever they wanted, I would do for them. And we see, like, and the best example to look at this is in high school. Because in high school, it's crazy. You see these kids have crushes on each other, and the girl's like, can you go downstairs and, like, run around the park 14 times, and then pick a dandelion, put it in your ear, then chew it, and then say my name 10 times. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And then he does all the things she says. Why? Because he likes the girl so much. And that's what happens, is when you really, really love someone, you obey them, right? That's what truth is, right? Yeah, when you love someone, you obey them. What God is saying here is, much more than sacrifice, it's something that is here. Sacrifice is just a result of what you feel here. It's a result. And one of the biggest problems that we see in life is that people really, really like focus on the end result. If the end result is good, then it must be all good. And the answer is not always like that. is not always about the result. The result isn't the only thing that matters. Let me give you an example. Let's say that there's two baristas, okay? Let's say there's two baristas working at a coffee shop and there's two bars. And they're both making coffee, and one barista is making coffee and the other barista is and they're both making coffees, right? Lattes, espressos, whatever it is, right? Iced lattes, whatever it is, okay? Now what happens is, the one on the left, person A, is just doing the job because it makes him money. But the second person loves his job. Like, he genuinely loves making coffee for people. Question is, who will make more in tips? Who will be the more popular barista? And the answer is, it'll be the person that loves it. And the interesting thing is, right, it's not just what you do in the end, right? But it's also the reason or the insight. It's in here. If you love it, if it's something you really cherish, if it's something that you really care about, what happens is it shows in everything that you do. And this is why the person who loves their job is going to make a better coffee. They will. They will. Right? If we talk about equal skills, if they're both equally skilled at coffee, but the person who loves it is going to take care and is going to always try to make it the best they can, talk to the people because they love their job. See, one of the things you have to understand is in life too, it's very, very similar. In life, it's not just about the result that happens. Why? Because if the result is the only thing that happens, what if you cheat? What if you cheat your way to that result? Does that result become does that become like a good result? And the answer is no. You have to love what you do. You have to feel what you do, right? It's kind of like the difference between that person who really cares about you and when they really care and they say, "How are you?" They stick around and they want to listen to what you're doing and how you're really doing. When it's someone that doesn't care, it's like, "Hey, how's it going? Oh, really? Oh, you, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, good weather, okay, bye, 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 all right, bye." And then they go, right? They don't care. They're like, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, me, go, cool, blah, 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 blah." And then they go, right? And you're kind of like, "Oh, I had a bad day. Okay. Right? Right? But the person that cares, even if they're going somewhere, they'll stop and they care and they'll say, "Hey, how are you? Is everything okay?" And then they'll stop for you and they'll talk to you. And that's something that we have to understand is not about, people are so focused on the sacrifice, but you have to realize it's even before that. It's even before that. They're all sad. They're like, "Oh, Cain sacrificed." No. Because even to God, like we read in the verse, the sacrifice, there's something bigger than the sacrifice. It's here. It's much, much bigger right here. Where does it come from? And I really believe that all of us here too can learn this in your everyday relevant life. Don't just go through the motions. If you're going to work 8 hours a day, you might as well learn to love it. If you're going to go to school, you might as well love it. Or is you going to be miserable for 8 hours? What a terrible life. You got to learn to love it. You got to learn to feel it. That's number one. Right? It's not about the end, not just the end result, but also the process matters too. It's the inside that matters too, just as much as the outside. The second thing is very interesting too. The second thing is the reaction to loss. Okay? What is the reaction to loss by Cain? Right? So Cain is like, "What? Why doesn't my sacrifice get accepted?" Ah! And then he kills his brother. That's his reaction. It's really crazy if you think about it, right? So, God's like going, "Hey, dude, why are you so downcast?" And Cain is like, duh, you didn't accept my sacrifice. Like, what the heck? And he's talking to God. What the heck, right? And you know what God says in Genesis chapter 4, verse 7? He says, "If you do what is right, will you not be accepted?" And you know what? For people who are in a really bad mood, that's like the last thing they want to hear, right? It's like, "Dude, if you just did better, you would have gotten it. You would." And then Cain's like, "What?" And he got even more upset. Now this is the interesting thing. How do we react to loss? Like whether it's a sports game, like when you lose, whether you lose a game, you lost, like you didn't get the job, someone else got the job ahead of you, you lost the girl and the girl went to the popular guy. Can you acknowledge someone as better than you? Like, can you actually acknowledge that? Is it really that hard to imagine that someone is better than you in something? Gotta think about that, right? It's a very conceited and arrogant way to think that, how can they be better than me? And the answer is, there are a lot of people better than you. There are. And can you acknowledge them as better? Or do you steal victory from people? Do you steal the glory? The reason why they're so good is the reason they got the job is because I heard that the interviewer is their uncle's brother's, sister-in-law's, friends, cousins, nephews, grandfather's cousin. What? Oh, no, the only way they won because, you know what, I was tired. Yeah, I'm just not in a good mood, and, I could have done better, and I just thought I would let him win. Have you ever heard that before? Or sometimes people reason like that. It's really crazy, right? It really is. How do you react to loss? Can't someone be better than you? Can't someone work harder than you? Can't someone be more sincere than you? Is it really that unfair? Is it really that unfair that someone else got or beat you or did better than you? Like, think about this. Even in this situation, what if it is the owner's son that gets hired above you? And then the first thing we think is, oh, they only got hired because it's the owner's son. And that's, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy because now you're just labeling them as someone who's lazy, doesn't work hard, doesn't know anything about the business, and the only reason they got the job is because they're the owner's son. And the answer is like, but what if they worked hard? What if they studied more than you? What if there's someone who doesn't want to get the job just because they're the son? And they worked harder, they studied more. Like, we can't actually think about that. What is your reaction to loss when it comes to your brothers and sisters, your siblings, the friends, family around you? It's a great verse that I found in the Bible. Is Romans chapter 12, verse 10. Great verse. It says, love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. It says, outdo each other. Outdo each other. Oh, no, you deserved it. You totally deserve to win more than me. No, that was amazing. Wow. Well done. Well done. Good job. Good job. No, you did better. And you were definitely better than me today. And I lost fair and square. Great job. Great game. Oh, I didn't get the job, but they got a qualified person. Oh, you know what? Maybe my character doesn't fit that girl, but that girl's character fits this person here much better than me. There are like 20,000 different reasons why things could happen. But for some reason, our reaction to loss is like, no, it's because he's got a bigger nose than me. I'm like, what? No, it's because his ears are bigger, so people think that he can listen better to people. I'm like, what? It's really crazy what people think, or how they justify or how they react to a loss in a similar way. And what we need to do is we need to learn how to react to losses. And sometimes, and a lot of times, we don't even know why we didn't get the job. We don't even know, but we assume we should have got the job and life is unfair. No. Well, is it really like that all the time? And the answer is no. And we have to be people that react properly. Reaction to loss is, oh wow, great job. What can I do better now? Which leads us to the last two things is, what would happen if you don't do these things properly like Cain? And if you're like Cain, two things happen. And this is something that you have to really think about. The result of not doing what is right. Number one is, here's the thing that's very interesting. This is a very interesting thing about human nature. Have you ever wondered when you look at the internet and you see people hating on each other on the internet, like they don't know who the people are, but you see people writing on the internet, oh, you're so stupid, I hate you, this, who do you think you are? And they're like, there's just people just hating on the internet. They don't even know the person. They don't even know what they did, but you have haters everywhere. And you wonder to yourself, how can people hate so much? Think about this. Who was Abel to Cain? Abel was the person Cain wanted to be like. He wanted to be the one that would be accepted by God, just like Abel. But in the end, what does he do? He kills the person he wants to be like. It's a crazy thing that human beings do. Human beings kill the people they want to be like. Isn't that crazy? It's that mindset of, well, if you can't have it, nobody can. And we're like kids, right? The kid's like going, oh, and your mom says, no. The phone is not yours, give it to them. well, if I can't have this phone, and then you smash the phone on the ground, and then you like cry and you smash the phone because in your mind is, if I can't have it, no one can have it. It's a really crazy thing. It's the very thing you wanted and you destroy it. It's the person you wanted to be, Abel. Cain wanted to be like Abel and he kills him. Isn't it a crazy thing? This is where hatred comes in, where that jealousy and not doing things right leads to things where we do crazy things, where people look and say, what are you, nuts? Why would you do that? Why would, like, if you built something and then you would rather destroy it than give it to someone else. When you built it, it's crazy when you think about it. You destroy the very thing you want to be. You don't allow other people to have it. It's a very unhealthy mindset and mentality. And it can go that far, just like Cain. Second thing you'll notice is, some people ask is, well, in the Old Testament, if you killed someone, why doesn't God just kill him as a punishment, right? And the answer is, killing someone is actually not a punishment. It's not as big of a punishment. Well, what do you mean? No. If you look at Genesis chapter 4, verse 12, it's very, very interesting here. People think like, well, why did God just kill him? But what happens instead is, it says that when you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. He allowed him to live, which means that he has to live with the decision, live with the thing that he did. And that thing that we live with is what? It is regret. You are going to live with regret if you keep going down this path. The thing that Cain went through was because of that terrible thing he did. Look at that verse again. It says that the ground that you work on will no longer yield its crops for you. Does it really mean that he was like going into the crops and all of a sudden there was no harvest? No, because there was farming going on all the time. But what does it mean? It means that no matter how much he did anything, his heart was never peaceful, knowing what he did. That's what regret is, right? When you regret something, a big mistake, and you don't know how to deal with it. It's like some people will make the big mistake of, like God forbid, like murdering someone like Cain did, or cheating on your wife or your husband, or doing something that's so bad that you hurt the very person you love. And you sit there, and everything you do in your life, you just can't stop thinking about the thing that you did to the person you loved. Everything you do, what happens? You're never satisfied. And you live with the decisions that you make. And these are the two big things that if you continue down that road, just like Cain, you go through those two things. And that last one is the one that lasts a long time. And that's when you really regret. And you can't take it back. So, I hope that you guys understood what was, from this. It's such a short story, but the story is so deep. And in these last 20 minutes, we couldn't, there's so many things I couldn't even go into. But, we want to keep everything short here. But I hope as I wrap up right now, I hope that all of us will look at the lessons of, don't just focus on the result, but you have to understand what's here as you're doing the result. If it's good here, it'll come out in the result also. Just like the barista who loves it, eventually it comes out in everything. And even if that person is not as skilled as the other barista, because they love it so much, they're gonna get better. They will. Don't just look at the result. It has to also be from here. The process, how you do it. If you're gonna work anyways, if you're gonna do it anyways, go to school and study anyways, you might as well enjoy it. And the second thing is, how do you react to that loss? And I really hope that you guys too, we can be people that recognize, acknowledge our weaknesses, acknowledge people's strengths and how good they are at certain things. And we have to know that this life, it's too short to live with regrets. And why did I do that? And I'm going to be honest with you, not everything is going to leave a lasting impression of regret. But what happened with Cain is, it got so bad, it led to something that it was irreversible and he could never take it back in his heart. And that's one thing that we will go through certain things in life, the small things, but you can't let it stir and stay and grow so that it becomes something that is irreversible. Okay? So I hope you guys really honor each other and outdo each other in honoring. Right? Just outdo each other in honoring each other, okay? And I hope that you guys had a good time today with Cain and Abel. Who's better? So the answer, who's better? Well, there isn't really a who's better, right? It's just a lesson that It's about you need to be better. We need to be better. Okay? Those of you who want to listen to more of the Lockdown Tuesday videos, we have all of them on our YouTube site. Those of you on the YouTube site, you guys are already on. Those of you on Facebook, go to the YouTube channel. It is Espresso with Sky. All the Lockdown Tuesdays are all there from the past. Today is the 12th. I believe it's the 12th Lockdown Tuesday. Right? So there's 11 other videos of these that you guys can look at. We are going to be live streaming from YouTube and from Facebook every single week, twice a week. Also, those of you who want to support this ministry, we are also on Patreon, so you can support us there. We're going to have a link in that room. And those of you who want to go deeper into the Bible study, every Saturday, 1 p.m., we have group Bible lessons online on Zoom. So you guys can sign up. There's going to be a little link that you can look at in your rooms, and you can sign up for that Bible study also. Cool. So what we're going to do is, we're going to give people some time to ask questions, right? Questions, it doesn't even have to be about today's lesson. It could be any questions in life, right? And we'll take a look at these things, and I hope that, kind of get them in your head, and I'm going to give you guys about 5, 6, 7 seconds. Okay, so let's get into today's question and answer. So let's go to the first question, which is Addie. Addie in KL. What's more important, the process or the result? And the answer is, it's kind of a trick question, because one is not better than the other. Why? Because think about this. If the process is so good but you never get the result, you're unhappy, right? And if you just get the result, but you cheat, or it doesn't really work out and you cheated your way into it, or it was just given to you, then you're not happy either. It's kind of like the same question that people ask me is, what's more important in prayer? Because, I'm a pastor and people ask me, what's more important in prayer? Is it the length of the prayer, or is it the quality of the prayer? And everyone says, oh, it's the quality. And the answer is, no, it's not the quality. And they're like, oh, are you saying it's the length? And I'm like, no, it's both. Both matter. Both matter. They do. Both process and result both matter, right? So, of course, in the beginning, we may not be good at things, but if at least when you start anything, if you really like doing something and you really love it, then the process is really fun as you're doing it, and the result eventually comes out, right? And then you have this complete picture of result and process, okay? So, yes, great question, but I really say that it's got to start, you need to have both. And remember, the results don't come till later as you do things more and more. So that's why in the beginning you focus on the process, and eventually the result comes out. Okay? Thanks Addie for that question. Let's go to William in PJ, in Petalingjaya. And William in PJ asks, why is life so unfair? Wow. Hard question. Okay, why is life so unfair? What should I do if things are unfair to me, even if I've done everything I could? Okay, and honestly, there are some things in life that are unfair. There are. And we can't help it. Like, these are some things, like, for instance, there are times where an owner hires their son over everyone else. And they have every right to, because it's their son. They do, right? Because it's their job. It's their company, they can do it. Or they're just unfair things happen all the time. And the one thing I do want to tell you, William, is we really need to focus on the things that we have control over. We really do. Because honestly, let's just say you're in the position of being the son that has the father that owns the company. Would you look at that and say that's so unfair? It's like, no, because it's my father's company, has a right to do whatever he wants with his company. And if he's going to hire a son who's going to become the heir apparent, the next CEO, of course he has to hire his son because he's raising him to be the CEO, right? So if you think about that, there are some things that only look unfair to us, and there are something, like, I'm gonna acknowledge there are some things that are really, really unfair. But if we focus on the things that are really unfair and just gonna say, like, that's so unfair, look at that, oh, I was so unfair, I couldn't get that job, or this didn't happen, what happens is just life becomes miserable itself. And the thing that we need to do is, yes, it's unfair. But if you dwell on what is unfair, you can't move on, and you will never be happy. And that's why it's like, yes, that's unfair. Let's move on to something else, right? And you need to focus on things that you can control more than the things that you cannot control, if that makes sense, all right? Thank you, William from PJ. Nick Lee in Kuching. Nick Lee. how should we feel when bad things happen to good people? Because that's really unfair. And the answer is, yeah, that's not a good, it doesn't seem very fair if bad things happen to good people. Okay? So I'm going to just tell you there's certain reasons why bad things happen to good people. Number one is, I'm not going to say stupidity, but I'm going to say ignorance. For instance, let's just say that someone doesn't know that jumping into ice cold water for more than a minute or 2 minutes, you'll get hypothermia. And he's a good person. He's just like, cool, let's just jump in the water, see what happens for 5 minutes. Then he comes out of it and he gets sick. Bad thing happened to a good person. And the answer is, well, sometimes bad things happen because we just don't know. There's one reason. So you have to check to see if that's the reason. Second reason is sometimes we're just not in a good area. Like if you look at the world, if everyone was a good person in this world, then there wouldn't really be a lot of those unfair things happening. But can you acknowledge that there are bad people in this world? And the answer is there are tons of bad people in this world. And bad people do bad things to bad people and good people. And this is why sometimes people get caught as an innocent bystander, or they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's because the world is not a good place. Like some parts of the world are not a good place, and that's the second reason. It's got nothing to do with you being bad. It's just a bad thing happened to the good person. Number one is because we don't know, we're ignorant. Number two is because we're just kind of in a bad area or the wrong place at the wrong time. The third thing is, and especially for those who are spiritual, who believe in God, sometimes we're paying for sins. Like we might have done something bad and we haven't repented for it and we're paying for it. And you've already recovered and you're a good person, but you still have to pay for that sin. So there's three major reasons why these things happen. So you want to be able to discern those things really well, okay? Let's take a look at Lilia in Germany. How can I be happy for someone else? Yes, okay. So that is a great question, Lilia, because that's one of the things that people have a hard time with is, oh my gosh, like this person is, why are they like this? And there are several things that we need to look at, but the first thing I want you to know, first thing I want you to really, really focus on is you need to first focus on yourself. Yeah, first focusing on yourself is very, very important, because a lot of times is you can do better and you can be better, but a lot of times if we're always looking out from the outside, right, what happens? We don't focus on ourselves. We wonder, oh, why did they get it? And why did they get it? Because these people are developing themselves and we're not, because the whole time we're looking on the outside when we should be looking at ourselves, right? One of the very first things we should do is first look to ourselves, change ourselves, make ourselves, right? And what's going to happen is there are going to be times where you're not going to, there's going to be people that may make you, it's kind of hard because it was a job it was your dream job and someone else got it instead of you. And now you're sitting there like, I didn't get my dream job, right? And one of the things that we have to learn to do, now when I say learn to do this, it means that it is something that you have to practice. And one of the things that I'm a really firm believer in is development has to do with practice. And we need to practice to be happy for someone. We do. And it doesn't mean that you're gonna over the top, oh, I'm so happy for you, you're so great. No, we have to practice it and say, hey, you know what? Even though I don't feel it, I should be happy for this person. And one thing that later we could talk about this in another lecture is, remember, feelings are deceptive. And a lot of times our feelings don't tell us what, feelings aren't what is feelings aren't true. Example is, in high school, it's like, oh, the girl of my dreams, oh, I want to marry her. Oh, she's so great. Oh, if I marry her, it'll be the perfect person. Honestly, it's not. What is it? It's just feelings, right? My heart telling me, and I think it's my heart that they're the one for my life. The heart is very deceiving. And that's why we can't rely too much on feelings. But even if you don't feel it, we can still congratulate people. And even if we don't feel it, we can still give a gift to someone, even though we don't feel it. Yeah, we could be very honest with it. Like I would admit, I would be very honest with saying, oh, this is a job I really wanted, and you know what? Oh, I'm so happy you got it. If there's anyone else who got it instead of me, I'm glad you got it. And I'm gonna try again next year. Oh, good job, right? And you might not be feeling it though, but this is how you practice being happy for someone. And the more you practice, the better and better you get. The more and more you realize that life is not governed by your feelings, but life is governed, we have to realize as we mature, we'll actually realize our feelings become to mature more. The way we feel for people becomes to mature more. And also on top of it, we begin to realize and we get to discern our own hearts. Yeah, I'm not happy because I didn't get it, but that doesn't mean I can't be happy for them. Hey, good job, congratulations, you deserve the job. And you know what? That person is going to be like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, I'm so sorry you didn't get it. And they're going to know it because all of you are going for the same job, or all of you are doing something like this. Right? So I do hope that we can have, as we grow and mature more and more, we can have a discerning heart. Right? Discerning heart, knowing that our feelings are not always what we literally feel. Yeah, I could be upset that I didn't get the job, but it doesn't mean that I'm not happy for a person, right? But then we might confuse it as, oh, I don't feel good, so I can't congratulate them. I'm just going to go into the corner and cry. And some people do that. But no, it's a time that we have to practice being happy for people. And the more and more we do, the better we get at it. Okay? Great question from Lilia. Ichigo in Korea is asking, how can I love someone who hates me and just focuses on my mistakes? Wow. Okay. So, how can I love someone who hates? So I'm assuming, Ichigo, you know that this person literally hates you. Or are you assuming they hate you because they focus on your mistakes? Now, one thing that I do think that we need to realize and recognize about people is there are people are very, very different in the way that they show their love for people. And I'm not going to deny that this person doesn't hate you, because I don't know the full situation, but I do know that a lot of people have different things that they see. And people are all different, right? And we have to be the ones that kind of recognize how people love each other. I'll give you an example. One person can love someone by constantly encouraging them, right? Because that's how they love people, is encouraging. Right? And another person loves someone and they point out mistakes so that they can change themselves. And I wouldn't say that pointing out mistakes is not love. Right? Is pointing out mistakes not love? No, because even biblically speaking, we should talk to each other. And we should say, hey, as man sharpens man, iron sharpens iron, as man sharpens man, we're here to sharpen each other too. And some people, the way they've been raised, or the way their personality or character is the way that they see things is that way. And this is one of the ways that we can understand people better. Sometimes we don't even really know if they hate us, but we just base it on, they always talk about my weak spots and my bad things like this, and this. Sometimes it's true and sometimes it isn't. But sometimes we have to understand is there are so many reasons why people are the way they are. Right? And when it means to love someone, I hope that you don't think that loving someone means to be best friends with them. And loving someone doesn't even mean that you have to be good friends with them. It doesn't. There's only room for like 2 or 3 best friends in your life. There's only room for several good friends. Yeah, loving someone is also respecting them at the level of your relationship. Right? To love someone doesn't mean you have to bring them close to you. Like that's a misconception a lot of people have, is when the Bible says love each other, it doesn't literally mean everyone becomes your best friend and everyone becomes your lover. That doesn't mean that at all, right? We love people according to our level of our relationship. Because does that mean I'm going to go on the street and look at every stranger and become best friends with them? That's weird. Hey man, let's become best friends. I'll tell you everything about my life. What? If someone said that to me, I'd freak out and I'd run away, right? We don't have to be best friends with everyone, but if someone like for instance, there's sometimes characters don't get along, it doesn't mean you have to be best friends. It doesn't even mean you have to be good friends, but you will still love them as respect them for the level of the relationship, right? So, oh, thank you so much for telling me about this. Oh, I really appreciate it. And that's good. You don't have to be best friends with them, okay? So I hope that we kind of look at the relationship that the two of you have, and from that, loving them means loving them at that level of the relationship. Yeah. Ichigo, it doesn't mean you have to get so close to them. It doesn't, right? It's like everyone picks and chooses who their friends are. And sometimes if characters don't match, then you don't really become that close. You might be friends, like acquaintances, but if it doesn't work out, it's okay, right? It's okay to be like just acquaintances. You don't have to be best. Like even in a church, like when I've been to church all my life, I wasn't best friends with everyone, but I respected and loved everyone for the level of relationship that I had in the church. Okay? Let's go to Chi Yin in Taiwan. Chi Yin in Taiwan says, you talked about regrets. What should I do about my past mistakes? How can I stop feeling bad about them? Well, there's two different ways, the two different things we can do. There are some past mistakes that you can actually still resolve. Like they could be something from a long time ago, and you can actually find that person and just say, I'm really sorry for what I did in the past. There's one way to do it. If it's still possible, there's one way you can do it to get closure in that regret. The next thing you can do is, yes, regret is something that is a very powerful emotion, and there's two things you can always do with your emotion. Number one is you can let the emotion take over you and you'll regret for the rest of your life, and you always live this, oh, I'm so terrible, I'm a terrible person. Or you could take that powerful emotion, and like a lot of people do is they'll take something like, for instance, a powerful emotion is their parents die from cancer, and from that powerful emotion they become a doctor that's going to seek the cure for cancer. It's a very hard thing that they went through. But through that powerful emotion, it calls them to take action to do something better. Right? So there are a couple things that we can do. Right? And I would say that for those of you who have faith, one big thing that we can do is we should pray and repent about it. You should. Pray and repent about it to God, and repent to that person in prayer. Because if you really believe in prayer and the power of prayer, your prayers should be able to reach, right? If there's no other way to do it, like just to show that you're really, really sorry for what you've gone through. And you take that emotion, that powerful emotion of regret, and you can either let it kind of overcome you and consume you, or you can use it for something a little bit more productive, right? And that's something where a lot of people will start helping people or do even better in their relationships because of their past mistakes. And the best thing you can do is learn from it. The best thing you can do is learn from it, especially if you can't resolve it, right? But if you can resolve it, I would say go ahead, go resolve it. That's like the best way to do it. Just say, hey, this is what I did, this is what I thought before, I'm really, really sorry about this. And when you get closure, it's so much better. Yeah. Thank you, Chi Yin. Let's go, last question of the day, from Rosarin Arnaldo in the Philippines. Rosarin Arnaldo in the Philippines says, how can I stop hating myself when I lose or when I fail? And that's a tough one too, because when we fail, we kind of look at ourselves like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Why did I do that? Oh, I hate myself because I couldn't do that. And learning to love yourself is a very, very important thing. It's a skill that we need to learn also. But you also need good friends around you too. You really do. And a lot of times, like right now, if you have good support around you, it's great too. Because sometimes we do like beat ourselves down. It's like, oh, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. But if you have really, really good friends around also, it's good to get good support from the people around you so they can reason with you. And that's one of the things that I hope that everyone can have, is a person that you can really talk to and really talk about the things in your heart. Like, oh, I feel terrible because I did this, and it just feels terrible. Like, I wish I never did this. I hate myself for this. And it's always good to have someone you can kind of express everything you want to say without feeling judged, right? And that's something I really believe is very, very healthy. And those of you who are in faith, deep prayer. I'm dead serious about this. You might think to yourself like, what a crazy thing. No, deep prayer. When you really, really connect to God and you can express everything and you feel the presence of God and you feel God's forgiveness and His love encompass you, yeah, you realize that regardless of what you've done, God loves you no matter what. That's like the level of God's love. It doesn't matter whether you made mistakes or not. And when you realize and have a lot of God's love, this is when people are actually able to love themselves more. Because love has to come from somewhere, right? Like if you're by yourself, like, most of our lives we're by ourselves. If you don't have that love coming in, it's very hard to put out. And if we don't have like that stable relationship with God and always receiving that love and feeling that love from God, it's very difficult to have that type of love for ourselves too. So especially Rosarin, I know that you're someone of faith, right? Well, I think everyone in the Philippines is probably faithful because they're probably 99% Christian, right? From what I know, very, very faithful over there. One thing that will definitely help you is your relationship with God. Your relationship getting closer to God and realizing God's love will solve and help the hate or the lack of love that we have for ourselves. Because one thing we have to know is love is something that is eternal only when there is a counterpart and it's constant. Where I give love, which means I'm losing love, but I'm also receiving love at the same time, which means that it never goes out. The only time love goes out is when I don't have a great relationship and love is always pouring out, but nothing's coming in, right? So I do recommend really focusing on your relationship with God and your relationship with really, really close and good friends. And it's so important to have these relationships because human beings, that's why they say we're social animals. We're social beings. We need that interaction in these relationships with each other. And I hope that it's something that we can really focus on too, is finding that person that we can really connect with, not feeling judged, but be able to say all the things that we can, and also that relationship with us and God, that we're really able to connect and receive love constantly as we're giving love to people. Okay, so thank you so much for that awesome question, Rosalind, and I thank you everyone for joining us here for the Lockdown Tuesday. I hope you had a good drink, whether it's an iced latte, a bubble tea, or whatever it is. And I hope that you learned a lot today from the story of Cain and Abel. Who's better? All right, everyone, have a wonderful Tuesday. And once again, if you're not on our YouTube channel, especially with Sky, click the subscribe and the bell. Support us on Patreon. And we'll see you on Saturday for the 1 p.m. Bible study. Bye-bye.
All the stories that we made, just you and I, never losing all the passion. All this love is my obsession. Oh my gosh, this